Mirror matching, right? If you're, let's say you're in a mirror match, right? It's you versus Hwoarang. It's very important for you as the mirroree, mirroree, to know what options beat what. So let's go in Hwoarang's case, right? If I ask Hwoarang to do 1-2 forward 3 into forward 3, I know that back 1 will beat all options, most options, after forward 3, or even at 1-2-3. That's essentially very, very important. And then you have to know what's their best startup, since you essentially play the same character. What's the best move that they'll start up with offense? So objectively, that move's going to be down 3-4. So that means you want to watch out for lows. You want to know, you want to get the tendencies of their lows. Do they use left flamingo more often than not? Because if they're using right flamingo, you cannot back 1, because I'll end up in a launch. And let's say you did it early, you didn't recognize, at least you can wait and then punish. So the tendency on using your back 1 or the move that would beat a bunch of the offensive options from your character is very important. You have to get that knowledge portion down. You have to know what beats what, what's the best option versus myself. Essentially, compare the toolkit, the character's toolkit, right, versus itself. Oh, what can I beat? What can I do to beat that option? What can I do to beat this option? What's perfect in this situation, etc., etc., etc. Oh, what options beat the right stance of this character using the same character? It's very, very important. If you don't have that down, you're slightly unprepared for the mirror already, because certain mirror matchups are decided by certain moves, or who does what first, or who's unable to block this first, because characters essentially can get on a roll. Let's say, again, let's use Hwoarang, right? If you don't block down 3-4 often, and you give it to Hwoarang a lot, you essentially lost to the other Hwoarang already. Because now they have more leeway to start up offense, and then you're now conditioned to block low, and then the Wavus into JFSR are just going to kill you. It's going to be a big pain in the ass. So you need to make sure you stop certain stuff ASAP, or else you're in trouble. Aside from knowing what beats, let's say, left flamingo stance, right foot forward after, like, say, back 2 on block, etc. And aside from that, in mirror matching, do not ever say, why are you doing that? Don't ask why the opposing Hwoarang is doing something like, I don't know, 3-3-4 into RFF2 into RFF3-4. Don't ask that. Don't get irritated by that. As much as possible, try not to. Because you're playing the same character, you might start judging your opponent because you play the same character, regardless of how good or bad you are with the character. Because you might be like, no, I would have done that in that situation. Why would you do that in that situation? Don't do that. Take the free win. Take the free situation that they're giving you. So, again, if that Hwoarang is just mindlessly stringing and doing something like 3-3-4, and you know he's going to do 3-3-4, that's an instant duck, and that's a free while standing 4-4 or a while standing 3. And if he's not going to do RFS F4, that's yours. And you need to remain composed as much as the time, because you're gonna get into a comparing. You're gonna really compare yourself non-stop with your opponent, because you're like, he plays a character better than I do, and that's gonna hurt your confidence as a player. No. Even if you guys play the same character, while there may be a general idea of playing the character, remember, that's your Hwoarang. That's his Hwoarang. You don't play the same. You may play similar, but you don't play the same. You will favor more moves than he will. And even if you may favor the same moves, maybe you don't use those moves in the same situations and stuff like that. So that's very, very important. Don't get into the comparing portion of it, and just focus on your game. Focus on your strengths. Know your weaknesses and know how to get around those weaknesses with those strengths or another strength or skill in order to win the mirror. That's very, very important. So don't get too down with what your opponent is doing, whether that be negatively affecting you because he's doing weird stuff, or negatively affecting yourself because you feel like the opponent's way better to the character than you are. No, don't do that. Focus on yourself. Try to play it to the best of your abilities, of your own strengths. Know what options beat what options in certain stances or in certain situations, like while standing 4-4, and you'll be good to go. And that's more or less going to prepare you for the mirror matchup as much as it could. And the rest is just how it plays out, what you and your opponent are doing, and how you adjust to each other. And of course, not letting the other opponent get on a roll from a certain move from the character, because you gotta look at your character, like what's the best way this character can win, essentially. You want to prevent that as much as possible, and try to get that card ahead of your opponent as much as possible. So yeah, that's more or less playing mirror matches. I hope that helped.